We begin our day. I like little graphics. They're easy. They're fun. But PFF, Pro Football Focus, has Mario Craver as like the most dangerous, one of the most dangerous wide receivers for college football this upcoming season. We knew that. Why? Well, he led all 184 Power 4 wide receivers with at least 40 targets in yards after the catch. The YAC Master General. And it was 9.8 yackers, yards after catch. He forced 22 missed tackles. He had 250 yards after contact. Both of those ranked him second among returning wide receivers. So what he did last year, awesome, epic, tops. And then rank it against who's going to be on the field this year, and in second most among the returning receivers. And always remember this when we talk about Mario Craver. His last month was injury riddled. He was not the Mario Craver in the last month. He was too banged up. We can dream of what his number. He would have been an All-American if healthy all year. Period. End of conversation. Yet, his numbers, again, you take someone like PFF, take people that do analytics, reflect how incredible a year he had. And I'll repeat it all one more time. PFF, Mario Craver, one of, and I think it was 5 most dangerous YAC receivers. YAC, I like YAC. Yards after catch. In 25, he led all 184 Power 4 wide receivers that had men 40 targets in yards after the catch per reception at 9.8. He forced 22 missed tackles, 250 yards after contact, and both of those rank second among returning wide receivers. Mario Craver. Then, also, on 3, ranked their top 10 quarterback wide receiver duos. Number 1 for anything quarterback wide receiver or just wide receiver is going to be Ohio State. Jeremiah Smith is a bad man at wide receiver. Julian Sand, in just 1 year, was your prototypical quarterback. Made mistakes, nothing more potential ahead of him. That was the number 1 quarterback wide receiver duo. Ohio State, Sand and Jeremiah Smith. Number 2 is Darian Mensah and Malachi Toney. Malachi Toney is legit. I don't think there's anyone that would argue, fight, dispute him. Darian Mensah, there's a lot of projection, but hey, look, his floor is high. I get it. Number 3, Texas, Arch Manning, Cam Coleman. Earlier this week, someone tried to not give Arch Manning credit for breaking through over the last 4 to 5 games of last year. And you can hate Texas. I would even say you should hate Texas. I would even tell you that it's healthy to hate Texas and proper if you're an Aggie. If you're not, then I say make your own choices in life. And I tell you, the number 1 thing about Texas getting Cam Coleman is I think they bought an insurance policy. And now they have 2 of the top 10 wide receivers in the country. So even if Arch wanted to regress, I don't think he can. I don't know why he would, but that's not the point. Cam Coleman guaranteed Arch Manning's season to go with Wingo. They're fine. So the number 3 in the country quarterback wide receiver combo, Arch and Cam Coleman. Number 4, the Oregon gang, which is more to more. That rhymes. Number 5, CJ Carr, Mylan Graham. Can you tell me who that is? Of course, it's Notre Dame. I'll tell you something. It's always the sneaky and the quiet that you got to watch out for. And Notre Dame gets no credit. They're getting very little ink until you literally just stare straight at the Golden Dome. Because let me ask you something. The offseason's winding down. Big 12 Media Days, day 2 is today. So it's over. We're not full on. We're not going 100 miles an hour, but the offseason's kind of over with Media Days officially beginning. Who has gotten all the offseason ink? Texas, Ohio State, Alabama, even if their ink is not necessarily the warm, fuzzy, hug me ink, but Alabama for sure, right? A lot of usual suspects in there. LSU, Lane Kiffin. But Notre Dame, to me, surprisingly, and Notre Dame, if I had to buy one team, and maybe you can answer this question if you want to play along. What one team do you think is guaranteed to be in the college football playoff? One team only. Not this one, but also. I'd buy Notre Dame. I think they're the one team in their schedule, and of course their team. I think they're guaranteed to be in the college football playoff. If they lose 2 games, and this year 10-2, Notre Dame is not getting snubbed. Sorry. They'd have to lose like 3 games this year. I don't see how their schedule's so mindlessly easy. And they return so much, and, second year at Carr. I don't think it's humanly possible. Every other team that you want to guarantee me, I think has a path to 9-3. I don't think Notre Dame has a path to 9-3. So for me, to answer that magical question, if I'm buying one team guaranteed a college football playoff spot, I didn't say natty. I didn't say national championship. I didn't say a win in the college football playoff. Just in. That's all. I'm buying Notre Dame with that slot. But no, they've got the least amount of ink of a team I think that's guaranteed a college football playoff spot this offseason. Back to, on 3, top 10 quarterback wide receiver duos. Indiana's Hoover and Nick Marsh. Understand it on paper. Hoover has to prove it. Miami, I'm telling you something, is fascinating. They, last year, broke through. Isn't it amazing how many teams break through against Texas A&M? There's a historical element to that. If you need to start a quarterback for the first time, historically speaking, you start them against A&M, and they'll have their career day. It probably won't last, but you start them against A&M. Anyway, Miami actually is the only team that's on this list twice of top 10 quarterback wide receiver duos. Because at number 2, I told you it was Mensa to Malachi Toney. Malachi Toney is the number 1 playmaker in the country. He's not the number 1 wide receiver. That's Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State. Malachi Toney's the number 1 playmaker. At number 8 is Miami again with Mensa again, because he's a quarterback. He's got to be on the list. And Cooper Barkate. What does that tell you about Miami? If they have 2 quarterback wide receiver duos in the top 10, according to On3. So there you go. That's insane in the membrane, insane in the brain. At number 9, and this just kills me, LSU, Levitt to Trades Green. Levitt to Trades Green. I love Sam Levitt. I loved him at ASU. People talk about his last year. How many people tell you, oh yeah, but he was injured? Almost nobody. And I will tell you, Sam Levitt in the play calling arms and mind of a Lane Kiffin, I think is a dangerous, dangerous weapon. If Levitt was not going to come to A&M, and he never was, I'm not saying that, I wish he would have went anywhere but like LSU, anywhere else. Because I think him and Lane Kiffin are brilliant together. Just absolutely brilliant together. So number 9 is Levitt, Trades Green. Number 10 fascinates me to no end because it's John Mateer and Isaiah Satania, the OU combo. If you watched OU football, and I think I saw a good 4 games and, maybe parts of 2 or 3 others. And there's no universe that I live in that I could put John Mateer of anything that says top and quarterback in the same sentence. That's not happening. But Satania is fantastic. I love Satania is legit. Like, Satania deserves so much better. Satania should have went the Cam Coleman route and found himself a quarterback. Satania is a pure playmaker. Loved him. Satania could carry Mateer to a top 10 ranking of quarterback wide receiver duos by himself. And I will tell you something that was weird. Announcers would call this out during OU games. They would ask, why have they not targeted Satania in a quarter? Magically, they target Satania, and Satania would make one-arm catches. He'd make catches falling out on his back. I mean, he'd make catches in double coverage. Like, sometimes, why does the quarterback not understand? Satania's that guy. Now, Marcel Reed and Mario Craver's on this list. And when we come back, 3 minutes, 22 seconds, we will share. I will. Who's we? There's no we. I'm the only one here inside the Charles Schwab studio. We'll share and discuss that, because if you hadn't picked up, this is kind of Mario Craver time here on the Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. Built on faith, family, community. That's CC Electric. It's the Louis Bellina Show, Wednesday on The Zone.
You can hear Aggie football online at RadioAggieland.com.
Back to, top-rated quarterback wide receiver duos. But Marcel Reed, Mario Craver popped up at number 6 in the country. I hope that Marcel remembers that. I hope that Holman Wiggins remembers that. If you have a combination that truly number 6, you have to abuse it. You have to make the other team guard it at all times, not just on obvious downs and distance or obvious moments. Yesterday, Owen and I had a fascinating conversation where he said that Holman Wiggins said at some point this spring that A&M's still going to be a run-first team. I don't think I've been able to sleep. That haunts me. Your offense should always be kind of the strength of your personnel. If you want to be run first, then you need to build towards that. And you look at this year, and if I'm ranking the offensive tools, and I think my top 3, and I'm not even going to put an order, Marcel, Mario, and Horton would be 1, 2, 3. None of that has to do with the run game. I think running game is tedious, slow, easy to stop. Defenses thank you if you want to run. Yes, you always have to be able to run the ball. Always have to be able to run the ball. But run first? I hope that was a misquote or that was misdirection from Holman Wiggins. Now, throwing the ball 40 times is not what I'm talking about or what I'm thinking. Oh, run first. That's not what I would want to see with this team. And when I look at it, here's what I think I've seen and what I think I believe. Okay? There is a pathway, and I think run first. Take a look at the teams that are in the college football playoff now. Look at teams that are winning games in the college football playoff. If we go back 2 years ago, was like every Final Four team run D, like very old school oriented. There's a high level success of that. I think almost feel there's been a throwback wave of old school Nick Saban with a tear in his eye. How he started at Alabama seems to be in vogue. I think you have no margin for error with that. I think scoring points still wins. I still think, I look at Indiana, and Indiana's D, but their ability to throw the ball is how they won. How many big-time passes is what broke the back in the championship game? You have to be able to throw the ball. That breaks the back of defenses. Running the ball limits the number of possessions. Running the ball keeps games close. Keeps your opponents with you the whole game. Where you try and win by one play, or we'll put it away in the fourth quarter. Running the ball, I think, gives your opponent a chance. It gives your opponent hope. I do. I really do. So, passing the ball, and any coach, well, bad things can happen because you might have a, incompletion, stopping clocks. And if you're confident in scoring, I don't think you ever think that way. That's always been my kind of thing. But with A&M's personnel this year, I don't think they have the tight ends to run. They don't think they have the running backs to run first. So that's still hunting me in the back of my head. I'm going to move on. Inside the Maroon and White Notebook on the Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. Bucky met with the media, and in about 6 minutes, we're going to listen into everything Bucky had to say. Here's what stood out to me. Of course, he was asked about Bryce Warren's eligibility. No new news. He just stated simple, look, there's people that exact same story as Bryson, already been declared eligible. They're wait and see. He's expected to be. He has not yet. And I told you it was nothing but guns and roses, nothing but great news yesterday. Zach Clements has returned to practice. Zach has spent the past 4 months recovering from foot injury. He has returned to practice. Mackenzie Mbaku, almost back to a full participant in practice. Remember, Mbaku last year didn't really practice, then came back in season, never really played. He was limited in his minutes, and then he went back, missed the whole season effectively, and he has spent the past 6 months recovering from season-ending foot surgery. Well, almost back to full. So, slight participant, not a full participant. He's almost ready for 5-on-5. So, anyway, that's great news. Because if Clements is back full and McKenzie's almost back, by the time they go Bahamas, both of them should be full. And then by the time they report for the season, practice before the season starts, you got everybody back. And that wasn't the case. How many people remember? Raise your hand. Because I was talking about it at the time. Where you were pondering who's practicing because of the injury report last year, as they were a new team trying to learn. Because I know what Pop was injured too at the same time as Mbaku. And if your top two players, the two players that should define your season, aren't even practicing playing, what are you really accomplishing? Because that's not who you are. And Bucky, you're going to hear it in the listen, even jokes about the start of last year. And we look at what they did and accomplished. So it wasn't horrible, but what else could they have been? I mean, think about if you had Mbaku. Could they have broken the curse and made it to weekend 2 of the NCAA tournament? It's funny. Don't care. I don't need what ifs. I see what they did do. I don't have to worry about what they didn't. Again, sell me all your Bucky stock. I did want to share one other thing with you. Maroon and White Notebook, Texas A&M basketball. Luke Evangelist, Twitter X, caught it yesterday. He does God's work. But it's a NBA Aggie basketball, Maroon and White Notebook. But Chris Middleton got traded. It was a sign and trade. Got a 3-year deal with the Washington Wizards. 3 years, $17.6 million. That's real money. Caleb, who hosted for me in June. Hey, Caleb, are you hosting for Chip Howard? Did I see that right? Wednesday, Thursday? That's scary. I miss Chip. Chip's normally with me Wednesdays, right? And he ain't here today. And I thought about not being here either to express my solidarity with Chip. But then I was like, wait a minute, it's my show. I have to be here. So Caleb will be Wednesday, Thursday. I was going to say his last name, but I have no idea how to pronounce it. So it's just Caleb for now. Caleb will be, and Caleb's been planning for 2 days. He's got all kinds of glorious plans for Wednesday, Thursday, Chuck Howard Sports Talk. So I'd probably tune in to see what the hell he's been doing for 2 days. It scares me, actually. You have been planning, right? You haven't been just faking it, acting like you're planning. Oh, wow, he's holding up charts and graphs. Okay. Anyway, sorry. But this is the note from Luke Evangelist. So you add in the 17.6 mil for the 3-year deal, right? And Chris Middleton's career earnings, this is unreal. $325 million. $325 million. That is Chris Middleton's career earnings now in the NBA. You could say he did good. He did good. Up next, when we return here on the Louis Bellina Show, inside the Charles Schwab studio, I got to listen in. It's Bucky. It's everything he said. I hit some quick highlights, but you'll get to hear each and everything he had to say. He met with the media yesterday. And before we take a time out, the reminder. Text. Questions, comments, opinions. If you want to join us, who's us? Brian Broadcasting. The Zone, part of the Brian Broadcasting family. If you want to join us for Listener Appreciation Night 2026, get registered. Text 979-693-1150. I got 2 pair. That means there'll be 2 winners. Must be 18 or older. If you want to participate in the adult beverages, you better be 21 or older. But text 979-693-1150. You have till 1 o'clock. This is the Louis Bellina Show on the Zone.
The Louis Bellina Show. Dial 979-693-1150. Hello. To visit with him. Hello. Or to win. Hello. On the D4 Land Services Hotline. Dial 979-693-1150.
Led Zeppelin, all Led Zeppelin Wednesday. The Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. Time now to listen in. Bucky McMillan met with the media yesterday. Well, here's what he had to say.
How would you describe the chemistry with the team right now?
Well, before July 4th, good. We'll see after July 4th if it's still good. I like them. They're good. They work hard, good attitudes. Not as old as last year's group. So, they're sometimes the older the group, they're not as excited about summer basketball. They just kind of like March. This group is kind of excited to play and kind of see where everybody stacks up.
How are Mackenzie and Zach doing on their recovery?
They just practiced yesterday. I thought they looked better than I thought they looked. They make us look longer, that's for sure. We take up more space out there on the floor on defense than we did last year, that's for sure, with them out there.
Is Mackenzie fully good to go? No restrictions in 5-on-5?
He's playing 5-on-5. They got to pull him out, every couple plays. But he's as good as I could expect. Yep.
You said a couple weeks ago that these guys had those young legs, that they were just happy to get after it. Is that still the case 2 weeks later? Is the energy still as high as it was when things were getting rolling early on?
Yeah, they had probably their best day yesterday in terms of their legs. They were just bouncing around, popping around. We're longer. We got to keep working on shooting the basketball, that's for sure, because we got to be able to space the defense. But we'll get there. I think that we'll be a team that, in March you got to have size. You're going to have to. You're an off night away from having to play really exceptional in every other area. So hopefully we can get size and get the shooting with it as we go along.
You mentioned the exact same thing. So on size and physicality, do you feel like he's somebody that can sort of bring some of that physicality in those February, March games down the line?
Yeah, Cade's played in an Elite Eight game. He's been a captain of a team that's been really good. I've known Cade, since he was 14, I guess. I think I offered him his first offer when I was at Sanford. Alabama kid. Cade's a winner. Just knows what it takes to win. And so he'll be a leader for us. All right, boys, we good? Girls?
Anything else,
Yeah.
All right.
Any updates on, I know we talked about some of the cases with Marcus, we talked about with Bryson, any updates there in the last 2 weeks?
Nothing new. All these things are more and more stuff's coming out with all the eligibility stuff. Some more stuff will come out this week, not with necessarily our guys. But, it seems with all these cases that, we mentioned the Marcus situation. Didn't know about that one. The Bryson, there's people in his spot that have been declared eligible, obviously. But with all these cases, it kind of seems it's a wait and see by us, just like everybody, to see what gets approved elsewhere. So we always have our antennas up, seeing what's going to happen with these cases, with the guys that played last year trying to get a fifth year. And we're waiting to see, like, well, what happens with that? And the more cases that get approved, obviously, the more optimistic you are about any case that you have,
Appreciate it. I felt you were really honest in meetings. You just said that what you guys wanted was clarity, like who's going to need the judge, who's going to need whatnot. Like, do you feel like we're anywhere closer to that level of clarity?
No, you aren't. You're guessing, and that's the unfortunate part about it. You really don't know. And what happens is you can have this clarity that, hey, these are the rules, but then a judge rules this over here, and now all of a sudden there's a different pool of players that become eligible, and you got to kind of just change your mindset of, your recruiting base and who you go after. So it's whatever judge rules, whatever they rule, it changes it most of the time for everybody else.
What about, I'm interested from the standpoint is, you hear football coaches talk in the last decade, whatever, how things change in the summer workouts, how much things are better. What about in basketball, since you become a head coach? How much more can you get accomplished in summer, or can you get more accomplished in summer than maybe you did like a decade ago or so?
What I can say, so I played basketball in college, I guess that was 20 to 22 years ago, whenever that was. And summer was not a deal. Like you would play some pickup, you do some individual work. There was never team practices. It wasn't necessary usually because you had a lot of guys coming back, and the rules didn't even allow it. So now the rules are that's up to, you can use 8 hours a week for practice if you want to. And I can't even imagine not having that. I don't even know how, well, I'll tell you what it looked like. Kind of looked like our last year's team the first couple games of the year, looking like they don't know what they're doing yet. But you have to have it now because you don't get kids as freshmen that all of a sudden become seniors, and you're bringing in 4 new freshmen and 9 returners. You're usually bringing in 11 new players. So the NCAA allowing more practice time, they're allowing a foreign tour every year now, I think is really important in this day and age because the turnover is so great. And like it or not, you're getting judged on if you're going to make that NCAA tournament starting game 1, right? We were really, if you took out our first 2 of our first 4 games, like our NCAA tournament resume, heck, we might have been we may have been a 7 seed, right? So you get judged game 1, so you got to be ready to come out game 1, ready to play. And it's almost impossible with that many new guys if you didn't have summer workouts and could practice. Yeah.
Going off that, you mentioned, Kate mentioned getting adjusted to Bucky ball, and obviously that's something that you're pretty familiar with, is teaching you guys your style of play. Is there anything you're doing different from year 1 to year 2 and getting those new guys adjusted to it?
Well, just we have more people here in the summer, so we're kind of further along, and just in terms of playing 5-on-5, Mackenzie and Zach hadn't been healthy, but they've been a part of it before. So I think that's going to help a great deal. I think that we got to keep working our skill. Instead of last year, we got to work some skill stuff. We didn't have as many people, and not as much 5-on-5. We've been able to work 5-on-5, but we got to really hit our skill. We're using our hours more as team stuff instead of individual stuff. So we got to make sure our guys are getting up the shots they need to outside of what we're doing. But we want an emphasis because our schedule will be difficult. It's going to be a little more challenging in the non-con. And then I mentioned this. I know our SEC schedule is going to be, it'll be a nightmare or a dream come true. We'll see how we play, right? But I know our SEC schedule is going to be really tough. And we want to make sure, though, in our non-league play that we're ready to go. So we're playing a lot more 5s right now.
How are the guys kind of getting to know each other better? How are you kind of trying to get to know the new guys better?
I think that you don't really get to know each other until you've really been in it with somebody, and you've gone through tough circumstances. You know what I mean? I know all of y'all, right, to an extent, but we ain't gone through the wars together to know, like, you got my back early, or do I have your back, right? So, like, what you try to do in practice is put them in tough situations so that they have to come together to get through it. And so that's where I think most importantly is just put them in tough situations together and see who can rally together and where it looks like a team. And, the more and more we do that, the more we find out about each other.
That was our listen in. Bucky McMillan, Texas A&M head football. Wow, really? That was our listen in. Bucky McMillan, head basketball coach, met with the media yesterday. And again, they're doing their basketball summer. They'll take the trip to the Bahamas in August. And so far, the news is all great. Zach Clements back, full practice. M'Baku just around the corner from full participation. And again, they're waiting on the update. They're waiting on the eligibility ruling for PJ Haggerty. But in Haggerty's very exact case, there hasn't been any no votes. There's no reason to panic. Just saying. There's no reason to doubt what the ruling will be. They're just waiting for the ruling to come through. So an update. Aggie Basketball Edition will listen in with Bucky McMillan. When we return, we'll wrap up our first hour together. The reminder, text me. You might win one of our final 2 pair of tickets to Listener Appreciation Night 2026. The ticket booth is open. That's thanks to Dixie Tire Company. And the ticket booth all summer long, it's sending you to all the places you want to be. Moody Gardens. Oh, yeah. Hawaiian Falls. Splashway. Water Park and Campgrounds. And last week, this week, Listener Appreciation Night 2026. Always got to thank Dixie Tire Company. They've been serving Bryan College Station, the Brazos Valley. I think it's 36 years, but you know me and math, we're not friends. Could be going on 37 years. And Dixie Tire Company is open Monday through Friday till 6 and Saturday till 1. And you can always call them at 775-TIRE, T-I-R-E. I'll be back. It's the Louis Bellina Show. I still think it's Wednesday. And I do know it's the Zone.
The Money Machine. Back to school. It's your chance to win $5,000. And it starts July 27th.
Thank you so much.
The Louis Bellina Show. Presented by CC Electric. They do residential, commercial, and industrial services. 12 o'clock, Tony Catalina, Austin American Statesman. Liar. Tony Catalina, Gig'em 247. 12:35, Bubba Bush of BVMMA and Fitness. And you still got a whole hour and change left to text, and maybe you win one of the last 2 spots at Listener Appreciation Night 2026. Texting gets you registered. We're going to end hour 1 inside the lifestyles portion of the Louis Bellina Show, which we do from time to time. Why? Because sports is not life or death, man. Remember yesterday, if you were here, when we entered the lifestyles, one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard was Pringles flavored hot dog buns, which are available today and next Wednesday. And you had to buy like 3 cans of Pringles, and then you can get free 3-pack of, and it's what it sounds like. They're hot dog buns in Pringle cans in 3 Pringle flavors of sour cream and onion, honey barbecue, and something else. And they're hot dog buns. Not Pringles flavored like, it just sounded repugnant. That's a horrible mashup. Today, I present to you, this sounds simply brilliant. Girl Scout cookies and donuts. Krispy Kreme is teaming up with the Girl Scouts to make Girl Scout cookie donuts. And this is comfort food meeting comfort food. This is happy time. Now, if you're a diabetic like me, I might just touch it and explode. Okay? But still, they're doing 3 different, again, it's a donut in the flavor of Girl Scout cookies. And they're doing 3 different ones. They got a thin mint donut with a chocolate icing, cookie crumble, dark chocolate chip, and a cool mint drizzle. I'm not a thin mint guy. If you give me one, well, back in the day, I'd eat it. I never turned down a free Girl Scout cookie. Don't get me wrong. It's not like, oh no, I refuse a free Girl Scout cookie. I have a moral objection to a thin mint. I refuse. It's not like that. But if I'm paying or choosing and I have options, I'm not a thin mint guy. Now we're getting to the 2 that I'm all in on. Well, they have the Lemon Ups. And the Lemon Up Girl Scout cookie donut at Krispy Kreme. It's a donut that's filled with lemon cream and covered in lemon icing, and it sounds like lemony deliciousness. Thumb up. Definitely would try. Yes. That just sounds brilliant. This is mine. The Somoas. I always love the Somoas. So they're doing a Somoa Krispy Kreme donut, and it's a chocolate covered donut with caramel and coconut. my favorite Girl Scout cookie was always the Somoa. I love caramel. You put those things in the same universe. And, hey, is that Tony? Tony, can you jump in here real quick? Because I know you like food too. Tony's here early. Okay. Sorry to rush you in here. Tony barely walked through the door. So, okay, do you like Girl Scout cookies?
Of course.
Do you like donuts?
Yeah.
Krispy Kreme is doing a Girl Scout cookie flavored donuts.
I'm in.
Okay. Thin mint donut with chocolate icing, cookie crumble, dark chocolate chip, and a cool mint drizzle.
Works for me.
A Lemon Ups version that's filled with lemon cream and covered in lemon icing.
That'll work in the summer.
Does that not sound so refreshing?
It sounds perfect.
My favorite Girl Scout cookie is their third flavor because they're only doing 3. I always love the Samoas.
Me too. That's my favorite.
Okay, mine. Folks, do you understand why Tony and I hang out? It has nothing to do with Aggie football and baseball. It has to do with Bluebell ice cream, and Somoa is his favorite, mine too. And the Somoa donut?
Yeah.
Okay, Samoa knockoff flavor, chocolate-covered donut topped with caramel, which is one of my 3 favorite, that world flavor, and coconut.
It's perfect. I'm all in.
It is so genius. All right, you can go hang out with Caleb, man. I saw him walk through the door, and if we're talking food, I know Tony's he has a comment, a thought or two on this universe. So, again, it hit stores yesterday. These Krispy Kreme. Didn't we have a Krispy Kreme? Do we have more than one Krispy Kreme? Didn't we have one Krispy Kreme, but it went up in flames? Oh, man, please sign me up. Okay, I think I've got a sugar buzz thinking without even tasting or trying. Woo. I would try them all. I might pass out and wake up in 2 or 3 days. Maybe I need a doctor present. I wouldn't care. But the Lemon Ups, Tony nailed that. That is so summer. That is so brilliantly summer. I'll be right back with Tony Catalina proper. It's the Louis Bellina Show. It is Wednesday on the Zone. And it's all presented by CC Electric. Built on faith, family, and community. CC Electric.